Yeah, hi. We're here today from Takeout Toronto, and I've got a very special guest with me, and he's Daniel. He's from Edo, a very famous restaurant in the industry, and Daniel is also a veteran in the industry. And as I know, he has got quite a bit of ambition to explore the entire business, the culinary food and beverage business. So, welcome, Daniel, to the show.
Thanks
And
very much.
the first thing that I would ask you, you said that you have quite a big ambition to explore the business. How did it get into you? I mean, what made you get into this industry?
So my father started Edo in 1986, and over the years we've had many different restaurants, mostly Japanese influenced, across the GTA, including elsewhere around Southern Ontario. A couple years back, unfortunately, we had a fire at our flagship location on Eglinton Avenue Road. It was a beautiful fine dining, 150-seat restaurant, very well known, one of Canada's top 10 tables, and had to sort of shift gears and move our direction more into catering. So Edo, as you may know, is a brand you see at the along with the MLSE in the Scotiabank Arena. We've been there for 20 years since the Air Canada Centre was built in 1999. We also partner with the OMB Group, so we're at Cabana Pool Bar every year, as well as many other operations, supplying to their various venues. But of course, our heart and soul lives in our restaurants. Right now, we only have the one small location, kind of family style, called Edo Co. in Forest Hill Village at 425 Spadina Road. This small little shop has been open for 22 years, and we've been supplying our neighborhood and our community with what we believe is high quality Japanese food and sushi for, like I said, 22 years. And right now, this business, the restaurant industry, is tough at the best of times. I've lived it my whole life since I was born. I've grown literally sleeping on the banquettes while the restaurants were being built, to washing dishes, to busing, all the way up to serving and hosting and finally managing and managing the business. And throughout these years, we've seen SARS destroy one of our restaurants. We had a restaurant called Different by Edo on Adelaide, right when SARS opened, and within 6 months we were shut. So we understand really what these kind of national health concerns can do to us. And we're not isolated by any means. This is happening across the world. But right now, like I said, it's tough in the best of times to run a restaurant business. But when you have to shut your doors and pivot everything towards takeout and delivery, that's a challenge that most are unready for and unsure about how to survive through. But right now, I got to say, we are very lucky that this restaurant, Edo Co, has such a loyal clientele in our community that we've already done a lot of takeout and delivery. We've had our own delivery service for over 25 years. We've been supplying delivery to our neighborhood for over 25 years. In fact, our delivery driver, who many of you will know very well, Peter, has been with us 22 years now, and he's never missed a day. And we were actually the test market for Uber Eats. We were the second restaurant ever on the Uber Eats platform. So we are very well versed in what happens with the third-party apps. Ritual will be a new app that will start on Friday. We're going to build a brand new online ordering system that's going to be really strong, hopefully in the next few weeks. We're really about right now using this time as an opportunity to expand our technology and grow a bigger, better service for our clients. But of course, it's a major adjustment, and it's definitely scary.
Yeah, thanks. I thank you once again. I mean, to have to make some time during this whole entire fiasco to come and talk to us. Going back to what I was saying, you had been an orientation coordinator, as I read you, as I know about you, and you have quite a bit of passion for events, right? So I was just wondering, does this orientation coordinator background maybe inspire you a lot to bring in that feature in you to work for events, to organize events? Is that the case?
Absolutely. I'm one part of me inside it. My life is drawn towards creating experiences that are memorable for people. As an orientation coordinator, I led events of 30,000 people with budgets in the tens of millions, where I had to coordinate hundreds and hundreds of staff members. It's almost as hard as running a restaurant, but it's also something that I love to do. And everybody in this business is passionate about something. I'm not a cook, I'm not a chef, although I love to cook and I'd love to be a chef one day, but that's not where I am currently focusing my career goals. I'm more on the business side and the coordination on the staff side. I believe that the restaurant business is about communication, about more than anything else, really. It's about expectations. So as a coordination person, as an orienter, as someone who wants to create bridges, this is actually something my father has been very strong on. He calls himself a bridge builder because we are clearly not Japanese, although we've been running a Japanese restaurant for over 30 years. And our goal is to create that bridge between cultures and have people be able to be welcome and accepted into those multicultural backgrounds in ways that are very refreshing and welcoming. So as an orientation coordinator, which is at my time when I lived in Montreal, a city that's just booming with experiences that are very amazing, my goal was to break down barriers that would make people unaware or unwilling to join or not feel accepted when joining those kind of experiences because of their intimidation of different people that are involved. And in that background, it really brings me to the restaurant because I worked in many bars, I worked in many different restaurants, and over that time, you serve very, very different kind of people, but at the same time, you treat them all the same. Anybody who's worked in restaurants will know that when someone walks in the door, it doesn't matter if they're the CEO of a Fortune 500 or they've saved up every dollar they can to come to join you that day for a meal, you give them the same best experience you could possibly give them. And that's a value that I hope that I instill in all my staff. And it's a value that I definitely share with people as an orientation coordinator, if you'll call it. But really, events have been something of a passion for me since I was very young. Like I said, when Edo started in the Air Canada Centre in 1999, I went to every single game that I could. I took the subway down straight from school and I stood at the glass with a giant Edo jersey that was way too big for me. And I watched every single hockey and basketball game that I possibly could. And I just soaked in the experience, but not just of the game, of everything. The people who work in the Air Canada Centre and the Scotiabank Arena and every arena I've ever been to, they're all part of that amazing team. And the MLSE has had employees for all those 20 years that remember me as a small kid running around the stadium. And I cherish that because it shows that they're a great organization, that people want to work for them for 10, 20 years, shows that there's something there. And you're definitely doing something right when people stay for that long. Like I said, we have staff that have been with us over 20 years, and they're our family. When you work in a giant arena, it doesn't matter if you have 50 employees or 5,000 employees, they're all part of your family. And their goal is simple: create a memorable experience for every single guest that walks in that building. Of course, safety and security is paramount to that experience. And giving every single person that walks in that door peace of mind that you've done everything possible to make sure that they're safe and secure while they enjoy that event, whatever it is, a concert, a sporting event, a Michelle Obama conference. These are things that bring people together and of all different backgrounds. And that's where we need to be strong, especially right now. Of course, the world's about to change. What that new normal might be is honestly terrifying to me because I don't think my upbringing of events will ever be the same. I don't know if we'll have events where people can rub shoulders and chat openly in a giant forum without fears of health and safety concerns. But I'll do my best to make sure that we always strive to achieve those goals in one way or another.
Yeah, I can see that passion in you, in your eyes, the way you are delivering. Wonderful. And it's so good to know you from the heart, Daniel. Thank you so much. But, going back to this whole catastrophe, the pandemic thing that comes in a century and all, it has changed certainly the entire landscape of the business, of the industry. And you being a veteran, you have certainly made some changes, some thoughts in the process as to running the business, maybe the business model, the serving thing, and how, what are the changes that you're bringing in or have brought in, or would you suggest a few new ones to adapt to?
Yeah, every day we find new ways to change and adapt. Every day we look for opportunity as well as at what's going on that's so terrible around us. But the first thing I remember, March 16th, actually February 22nd and then March 2nd, we had 2 war room meetings with our team where we all sat down in a big forum and we discussed the issue. And before there were any closures, we said, look, we don't know what's going to happen. Very likely the world will either stay the exact same or everything's going to be different, but we need to prepare. And so the first discussion was 100% about the health and safety of our staff. Everybody who walks in and out that door, whether they're a guest or our staff, their health and their safety is our responsibility. So we actually purchased 10,000 surgical masks right away. We had them in by the end of March. Every staff gets a new one every day, and we have them available for guests as well if they want. And second thing we did, which we always do in April anyways, was our spring cleaning. So we ripped up every surface, we cleaned under every surface, every door, nick, and cranny was cleaned, which we do anyways, of course, because the restaurant business is a very clean environment. It has to be. In over 30 years of being in business, health and cleanliness of your restaurant is so important. So we took a step up there for sure, and we changed our cleaning schedule to be much more rigorous. The health of our staff was checked in on all the time. We created outlets for staff to call us without having to come to the restaurant if they were concerned about anything, whether it was cleanliness or health and safety at the restaurant or their own at home. We gave a lot of support options for people who work under us. We, of course, had to change our business structure because our entire catering division, which is almost as massive as our restaurants, if not much bigger at times throughout the year, went completely to zero. And overnight, we were expecting to have 7 Maple Leafs games and 14 Raptors games within the next 2 weeks. The next 3 weeks, that went to zero. We provide all the hotels with food, completely zero because there's no events. So we had to restructure all the people based off seniority, based off who wanted to work into the restaurant. And of course, this is where it got really tricky because right away for the first 3 weeks and that second half of March, our takeout and delivery was near zero. So the top people were crunching those numbers day in, day out, trying to make sure that we can cover our costs, making sure we can cover rent. There were no subsidies launched yet, but we were, of course, hoping that they would come very soon. But our most important thing was our staff felt supported. So we kept our doors open and we kept takeout and delivery from that March 17 deadline. At midnight on the 16th, we pivoted everything to takeout and delivery. We sent newsletters and social media posts around saying we're open and we hope that you help us adjust to this new scenario. But those next 3 weeks were very hard. A lot of our staff asked not to work for fear. A lot of our staff who have kids that are very young or live with their grandparents or parents. Most of our staff are students. A lot of our staff are immigrants or new immigrants to the country. We have a lot of visa sponsored. We do a lot of visa sponsorship, so we bring in a lot of staff from across the world who didn't know what it would mean for them with their visas, for their work visas, and if they would be allowed to continue working or if they'd be able to receive subsidies once they were launched. So that was something that we all took a stop on everything else and focused directly on that. Like I said, we've been doing takeout and delivery for a very long time. So we launched programs to try to adjust that, to try to streamline everything into a complete process of only takeout and delivery. But it was tough because if there's no money coming in, we can't afford to pay the staff who are working. And that was very difficult at the beginning because we didn't know if those 3 weeks would be 3 months, would be a year. We didn't know at the beginning. But I have to say, and this is a really strong shout out to all the people in our neighborhood, all the people in our community who came back really strongly to support us. Within, I would say, a couple weeks later, after those first very scary weeks, our loyal customers came back like crazy. We saw an increase in delivery that was truly remarkable. Hard part there was we were so worried about going down to almost absolute zero in sales that we were unprepared because a lot of our staff didn't want to work. Our purchasing was down to the bare minimum. Our back of house was a controlled system of shift teams, so that teams didn't intersect because if someone got sick, we didn't have to risk the other team. So we worked in an A and B system so that we could we could kind of create as much safety as possible. But once it started to get busy again, we had to ask as many people to come back. But of course, when customers are waiting an hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours sometimes for their food, that's an expectation that we should never have as customers to restaurants. So it was very tough for us to adjust back as it got busier because we started to prepare more and more and more, but we didn't have the staff to sort of come back as well to support that system. So me, myself, my executive chefs, my controller even, we do deliveries. We come in and take calls, call customers, like I said before, a big part of the restaurant business is communication. And that's something that's very challenging, especially Mother's Day, for instance. Everybody wanted sushi that day. We prepared triple what we usually prepare because we knew that that would be a big day, and it wasn't enough. I spent all night and the next morning calling almost every customer to, first of all, thank them for their support, and second of all, offer them sort of a commitment back to them that we will do better in the future. Because we did have some orders that were canceled, and we had some orders take almost 3 hours. And that's something we never had before. So it goes both ways. One side, we were terrified of never being able to make a dollar or be able to pay our bills. But once people started to come back and support us, we had to support them back. But we didn't have the staff to prepare to be able to support them. Now we're entering June, and a lot of my staff have chosen to come back. A lot of them want to support us in some way or another. Some of them are working from home for us in other ways, just so they can do something to make sure that our company thrives. Others are working on opportunities to find new ways of streamlining and making more efficiencies within our business, whether it's automating order taking or creating better online platforms, adopting platforms like Ritual, improving our Uber Eats platform, creating more marketing needs, and working with influencers and friends who want to just help us out. That's one big thing we did. So adjusting our operations it's still happening. Like I said, every day we find new ways to do it. We actually just partnered. This is something that we just started on Friday. A good friend, someone we've worked with for many, many years, the Halpern Wine Enterprise, which is a wine importing company, who we've been working with to do the Grand Cru dinners many years, asked us if we wanted to become sort of their sales hub. Because of course now restaurants can sell alcohol for takeout and delivery. So we've created a partnership with Halpern Wines where they're supplying us in a different model than usual. They're really amazing wines for sale through us. And what that does is everybody who purchases their wine also has to order food, but anybody who orders food also has the opportunity to get really amazing wines that we otherwise couldn't provide to them, especially because carrying costs right now is very difficult. We can't afford to pay thousands of dollars to hold wines in the hope that we sell them. So we can't afford to buy really amazing wines. So this is sort of a win-win situation. We of course work with Left Field Brewery. We have many Japanese beers. We work with Ozawa, a Japanese importing company, and we are looking for new partners like Burdock Brewery to really bring amazing products to our clientele. Because, like I said, they've supported us, and we want to provide the best quality products in return to them. So we're always looking for new things to sell, new things to be able to offer to our customers.
A lot of things have already taken place, and of course, in days to come, you have to adjust a lot. But just to know a bit from you, why do you see these things going towards? I mean, for how long? Any clue, any idea, any hunch that you have?
So right now, if I knew the answer to that, like I said, I would be a millionaire if I could answer that properly. But the best way to phrase it is to prepare for the worst and expect the best. Like it's a crapshoot whichever way you go. We're preparing for the worst. We don't know if this could be another year, but we're trying to use our logic as best we can, prepare ourselves for whatever might happen, and just take it day by day. And at the end of this, we're hoping to have a beautifully renovated restaurant like we've been planning for many years. We're hoping to improve our service standards with big training sessions for all our staff and have the best technology out there because, like I said, it's an opportunity, which won't stop once COVID ends. But the new normal is going to be a completely different structure. We don't know if the new normal will mean that dining rooms will not be able to, will have half capacity, that we'll be able to have patios with walls. We don't really know what it'll be. If I had my best guess, my girlfriend's a doctor and she's currently at Sunnybrook, and our hospital systems are not overwhelmed. Ontario's doing a very good job. The problem is this isn't a medical issue as much as it's a political one. When it becomes a political matter and, we have these restrictions imposed by the top authorities, Justin Trudeau and Doug Ford, who honestly are doing a fantastic job from a political side. And then you have the individuals who choose to avoid listening to those authorities and go out to parks and congregate in huge masses. That delays the reopening. And it's not to say I have any problem with the people who went to the park. They have every right to do so. The enforcement should take half the blame there for not dispersing people when the crowds were too large. But when people go out and defy the authority and say, you know what, I'm going to go to the park and congregate with thousands of people, that delays the reopening. And that's something that I think will create problems, because as we enter summer and the weather gets much more beautiful, it's much harder to stay indoors.
Exactly.
I bike a lot. I bike constantly with me and my girlfriend. We go on trips around the Humber, the Don Valley almost daily. And we see people gathered in the park. And there's no problem with that. You can gather 4 or 5 people. It's okay. But when you see there's giant groups of people and then it ends up on the news and then Doug Ford makes an announcement about it, that delays the reopening. And what structure that will also impose on restaurants is going to make the ease of reopening much more tricky. So when it finally does reopen, which might be August, might be September, we could see it in December. We might be able to have our dining rooms reopen fully. We might be able to offer service in a way that's what we used to do. But my hunch and my feeling is it's going to be longer than we expect, and that we'll all have to adapt to this system for a very long time. And when we do reopen, we all have to be cognizant that there will be changes, and there's an expectation not just on us as service professionals, but also the customers, also the guests that we invite into our environments. You see cases of people refusing to wear masks. Even one case of a person assaulting a convenience store owner because he refused to wear a mask. And we're all responsible right now for our actions. We always are, but right now more than ever, we have to be cognizant that if we're not going to listen to the people at the top, then we're going to be in this for even longer. And we gotta adapt. We gotta be responsible for our actions.
Yeah, we should come out as a community to help out, get out of the situation together. Not only you as a business have to be responsible, the citizens have to also come forward to kind of, take care of the whole thing. I can see that, you're in your restaurant, and should we have a quick 30-second tour of what's happening, what's there?
Oh, sure. Yeah. So, I mean, it looks a lot different. We have this beautiful mural wall here with our geisha. But as if I take a little bit of a step back, you can see all of our tables are put up. Someone just dropped off this poster from Coca-Cola saying we are open for us to post on our door.
Okay.
Of course, like I said, we have the alcohol all distributed at the front of the restaurant for people to see. We've got posters in all the windows to explain how we've adjusted our operations. Hi, Jen. So everything's really different, and we're working every day to really change how we operate so that we can do our best job to. It's difficult because this restaurant is a 40-seat dining room, so there's a big space in between the front door and the kitchen, which causes there's a communication barrier between the front people and the back people when we have to provide takeout only. So what we're doing right now is trying to adjust the literal structure of our dining room to basically be the most efficient we can be. But honestly, all that you see here, this whole bar, pretty much this entire side of the restaurant, the floors, everything's going to be redone. We're going to have a brand new bar. If you know our restaurants in the past, we used to have a sushi bar always in the front of every restaurant. So here along this whole wall is going to be a 6-seated sushi bar, where we'll have chefs in the front to make sushi in front of guests, followed by a bar and a host station with sort of a takeout window, not really takeout window, but more of like a product window with fridges where people can grab their bottles of our amazing salad dressing, their Japanese beer, and maybe some prepared boxes of sushi and salads to walk out the door with. And actually, before all this happened, we were preparing for a beautiful patio, actually a parklet to be installed right outside our front doors, and because we don't know when that's going to be.
As soon as possible, and your dream comes true. You have an entire new place, and a lot more people come in. And we from TakeoutToronto also, we are trying to help you. We are trying to be with you, rather, to fight the same fight that we are fighting against the entire situation. And I'm sure you'd be happy, and I'm also happy that you are partnering with us in kind of supporting the entire business, local business situation, right?
It takes people like yourself to be the voice, because when we, as the restaurant people, are working and speaking out, it's tough for us too, because we don't want to overspeak or overstep. But when the community like yourself comes forward and takes that step to be our voice and to connect people to the sides of the conversation and have these conversations, it's incredible. So really, thank you for having us be a partner of yours and from reaching out right from the beginning and doing what you can to support us and to support every restaurant in Toronto, because everybody's suffering right now. And a lot of my friends who are in this industry, they won't make it through to the end. And I hope they don't lose their passion at the end of the day. So I really thank you and your team and Rahit and your Taslim for all that you've done and continue to do, and I hope that you will continue to do it.
Rest assured that we'll be with you. Whatever you require, whenever you require, just post it on our page. If you want to promote your business, it's absolutely there. We're there for you for no charge. It's just to support the local business, support people like you who have been supporting us with great food and atmosphere, ambience, for such a long period of time. Thank you, Daniel, so much for being with us. And I hope that we will connect once again. I'll be at your place with the team, to have sushi, to have a further talk, and we'll have a wonderful time together. Thank you, Daniel.
Our team can't wait to serve you once we are able to open our doors. You're most welcome.
Sure, absolutely, we'll be there. Thanks, Daniel.
Thank you, Taslim. Be well.
See you. Yeah.